Hello everyone, my name is Gilbert and this is Blending Your Site with Windows 7. Welcome. This presentation is part of a series of webcasts that we've been doing about Internet Explorer 9 and all of the new features that Microsoft have put together with this new browser for Windows. In the first two presentations, we talk about a general overview of what new features Internet Explorer 9 brings for us as developers and designers. And in the second presentation, we talk about how you can improve your application on your website with some 50 performance tricks that you can easily do in your application and in your website to improve the performance and take advantage of all of the new capabilities that Internet Explorer 9 has put together in those terms. You can also take advantage of these tricks to improve your application in all of the modern browsers today. With this presentation, we're going to be talking about how you can bring your website and your application one step further and blend it with Windows 7 and all of the new capabilities that this new OS from Microsoft has in the table for applications, and how you can easily, with not much complexity, take advantage of these features and then make your applications behave and feel more like native applications in Windows. And then lastly, after this presentation, we're going to be talking about how you can take your site mobile and then take advantage of all the features that we've been talking throughout these presentations and make it available in Windows Phone 7 with the Mango version that is coming later this year. So let's start. But before we go in deep with what Internet Explorer 9 has bring with the pin site, we want to talk a little bit about what the Windows 7 taskbar looks like, how it behaves, and how you can take advantage of those things from an application perspective, and how you can take advantage of those things later on with your web applications. So here we have some different examples of the features that we will be able to take advantage with pin sites. So here we have a taskbar button, and that's the very basic part of an application. And the key thing here is that with Windows 7, Microsoft has gone away with the naming and this having the stream of text being shown in the taskbar. Now it's only the icon, but the icon is special because the icon is some high resolution icon. So this means that you will also be able to put a high resolution icon with your web app or with your website and then make it available through here. Also, you have some thumbnail toolbars, and here you can put some elements. In this case, Windows Media Player has gone along and put these three buttons for back and forward and pause the video. So this is how you can interact with the content without having to activate the full window. You can also have some thumbnails there. Then on the application itself, you have, if you right click on it, you have the context menu, and that context menu has the jump list area. In this jump list, you have tasks, you have categories, and you can also have some overlay icons, like in this case, the Messenger application has the status being shown, and you have also some progress bar where you can communicate the user the advance of some tasks. So we will see how you will be able to take advantage of some of these features from your web applications and not with too much complexity. So we'll see how you can vary the level of integration, but it's important to note that this works for any kind of application regardless of how you wrote it in the server. So we'll see this is a standard HTML, and the way it builds is it doesn't interfere with any other browser that doesn't support this. So with Internet Explorer 9, Microsoft put together some objectives in terms of pin sites, and pin sites is what we call this integration with Windows. With these objectives, Microsoft wanted to create a closer relationship between users and their favorite sites or their favorite web applications, allowing websites to promote their brand outside of the browser and making it kind of a branded experience. So with this, we're creating a seamless integration of websites into the desktop experience. Websites now interact with users like Windows applications does. And websites control the user interaction and navigation. We'll see how you can easily do those things integrated with the taskbars, as we saw in the previous slide. But the most important part of all of these objectives is that Microsoft wants to put your site at the center of the experience and remove any of the branding of Internet Explorer that can lay in between and make it available as it is your application, as it is your brand that lives within it. And the most important, as I was saying, is that this is available to any website, regardless of the technology that is built in. This will be available with some specific tweaks that you will be having to put in your web pages that makes available, that exposes this kind of functionality to the browser. So let's start by seeing some very basic demo of how pin sites work. Okay, so in this case, we already have Internet Explorer 9 open, and what we're going to show you is how easy you can pin a site. So here we just grab the tab, and we just bring it to the taskbar, and we drop it there. And as we see, what Internet Explorer 9 does is that it closes the previous process and it starts a new one. So it starts a new instance of Internet Explorer 9 with its own logo, and the logo is from the favicon of the page. And as you see, the page remains the same. There's nothing changed there, but there have some change in the Chrome. And here we see that the back and forward buttons are changed, and this is because Internet Explorer 9 makes it a little bit smart, and he analyzes the colors in the favicon, and then based on the colors that are more strong, then it will color it based on that. But as we see, the application, or in this case the page, remains the same. It just creates kind of direct access, and there are other certain changes. So you saw that the home page has been removed, so here we're making search. But if we go to the favicon now behaves as a home page, and it goes back to where we pin. So we see that now it behaves a little bit more as an application. We can even right click. We see that there are their own tasks, and they're separate from the ones in Internet Explorer 9. Now Google hasn't taken advantage of any of the customization that is available, but you'll see how we can learn to take advantage of that, and then we'll see some other applications that are taking advantage of that already. Now we can also take advantage of them ourselves. So here what we're going to do is that we're going to open up this small application that I've been working on during the last couple of days. So it's a small Twitter application. So here we are in Web Matrix. If you haven't used it yet, I totally recommend it for simple things. What we're going to do is that we have the right when we open the application, it start running. So we're just going to open it up right from the embedded server, and we'll see how it behaves. So here we open it up, and we see it's very simple. It's just a small tweet search. So I'm gonna enter here my handle. If you want to follow me, you be my guest. We're gonna do a search, and the elements are gonna start popping up. So here we see the first results coming in. So again, nothing has changed. It's just a regular page. So what we're gonna do is that we're gonna pin this side. In this case, we're gonna take the favicon here, this small logo, and we're gonna bring it down to the taskbar. Now you see here that different from the Google one, this one has a better icon, and this is because the favicon that I added has a better resolution already in it, and we're gonna learn how we can do that later on in this presentation. But again, if you see tasks, there is nothing special there. It's just clean and simple, just as the Google one. But through all the presentation, we're gonna see how you can do that. So we're just gonna close this one for now, and then we continue with the presentation. So as you were able to see, pinning a site is very easy and has this kind of feeling that what you're doing is kind of bookmarking a page, put it in right there, creating a shortcut, what a lot of people used to do before, but now we're doing it to the taskbar, and it just happens there. Now, some important things is that pinning a site is always user initiated, so there are no public APIs for pinning, and this is so that as a user you can rest assured that now a website is going to be doing some malicious thing and doing those things for you, and then out of the blue they will be showing up there. But this is if the user want to do it, and then we'll show you how there are ways that you can promote this kind of functionality in your website, then they can do it. Also, there are two ways to pin the site. You can tear off the tab and then bring it down to the taskbar, or you can just drag the favicon from the address bar to the taskbar, or make it natural for the user to do those things like you might do with a bookmark or so. And also, after a site is pinned, the browser UI will be updated to promote the site, and we'll be able to see how you can customize that experience. The back and forward buttons are going to be colored after favicon. Internet Explorer is smart enough that it will be able to do some color analysis on the favicon and then see what colors are more standing, and then based on that it's going to color some of the Chrome of the application. Also, the site's favicon is going to brand the browser experience, and also selecting the top left favicon will navigate user to the initial pin page. And as you saw, now the home page icon, now it's moved to the left, and then it's based on the icon itself. So somehow you are improving the user experience and making it more consistent with how applications behave. Also, you can customize pin sites. So Microsoft has made available an API that you can use through meta tags in the head to integrate pin site with Windows 7. So here there are some basic experiences that you can build within an hour, sometimes even within 5 minutes, and we'll see how you can do that. And some other deeper experiences can be built within a day, and you'll see that it's very easy. The code that you will have to write is very minimum, but the kind of experience that you'll bring to the user is great, it's magnificent, and it will make it feel and behave as a native application. These APIs are divided in two groups. Site properties, which are applicable to any users, which pretty much are available to anybody, and then some dynamic information that in nature can be specific to an individual user or to the application itself, and we'll see how that behaves in the jump list and dynamic categories later on. Also, these properties are compatible with existing sites and browsers, so it doesn't break the web. They uses a meta tags inside the head element of your page. So let's see a demo of how pin sites with a little bit of customization behaves and how you can pretty much take advantage of that. So let's take a look. So here we have Bing, and we're gonna start with that, and we're gonna rapidly just ping this site, bring it to the taskbar, and we're gonna see that it changes a lot. In this case, well, the Bing icon is pretty high resolution, and we're seeing it here. Also, we see that Bing takes advantage of something more. If we right click, we see that they have aggregated some jump list tasks, and we see that here they provide the main tasks that they provide as part of their site, and they're here. So we have travel, maps, news, finance, and weather, and it makes it feel more integrated and makes it feel more as an application. And actually, if we come and close this application right now and we go straight to it, we see that the jump list remain, and if we open it up, it automatically takes us there. So here Bing smartly knows that I'm in South Korea right now, and then chose the weather for me in the page. So we see how the application works, pretty simple, but it remains there. So now let's see another example. Here we have Amazon, and as we see, the browser keeps behaving as it is, but if we ping this other app, it closes the Bing one, and then it opens it up, a new instance with the Amazon. And as we see, the Amazon also takes advantage of high resolution icon and the customization of the Chrome. So now let's see here, let's do a search for the Windows Phone, and let's try the home button again. So again, the favicon will behave as an application icon, and if we come and see what they have taken advantage, we see that not only they have the jump list tasks, but they also take advantage of what it is, the dynamic categories in here. And here we see that they have some favorites, and they have integrated it more with the experience. And actually, if we close the application or the browser, we see that it behaves as a small Amazon app that we can have in our desktop, and it doesn't make any difference from other applications that we can have pinned there. So as you were able to see, by customizing your website, you bring your application or your website one step further, and the experience is just grand in terms of branding and those things. So let's see how you can do it. There are some basic site properties that are applicable to any users. In this case, that are going to apply to the website itself in a broader use. And this is application name, and how you want to name your site or your web application. The desktop tooltips, and the start URLs, their icons itself. That will be the favicon that you want to put there. The pin site window size, and how you want to start your application. What would be like the recommended window size if you want to change it from what it is, and the back and forward button colors. And important thing is that, especially for the window size, if the user resizes the window in any way and then closes the application or the browser, the next time the user opens up the application, the application is going to start based on the settings that the user left. And these are stored specifically for your application, so the user can interact with other browser instances, even with other site instances based on pin sites, and it's gonna save profile information for each one of them, making it even more personalized. And here is an example of how you can define those things. So here we have some application name. So here you put some sample name. You have some tooltip. You have the start URL. You have the window and the navigation button color. So you can just play along with those things and then personalize and customize the way Windows is gonna interact with your application. In terms of jump lists, and as we said, it's easier just to implement by web developers using meta tags, so you can define using the MS application tasks. So based on that, you will be able to put the name task, the action URI, and the icon URI. And based on this, the browser itself is going to customize those tasks for you. So again, very simple in the meta, as a meta properties in the head, you will be able to do this quite simple. It doesn't break the web, it doesn't break other browsers. And other browsers, if they want, they can take advantage of this. But right now, this is the way you want to do it to integrate with the user's OS. And important thing here to note is that this doesn't add that much of complexity to your site, but it's gonna be great when the user do it by itself, that they're gonna find all of this functionality right there sitting waiting for them, whether you announce it or not. So let's take a look at how jump lists work, and let's see an example of how we can start building on top of it. Very simple. So let's see. So here we have again web matrix, and what we're going to do is that we're going to start building in top of the application that I showed you in the demo before. So here what we're going to do is that we're going to start adding some basic functionality to our page, and we're going to do this right in the meta right in the head through meta tags. So here I'm just going to copy and paste this basic meta information that I had previously written. And what we can see is that these are very basic information. So here we have the application name. We also have the tooltip. We have even the color of the navigation, so that we can style that our own. We're even putting here the size of the window that we want to start with. Again, as I said, the color of the Chrome that we want to do, and the application start URL, which is going to be our home, or where our home button will go. So let's try this. Let's see how that has changed in our application and how simple that has been. So before we do that, let's refresh the page, and as we see, things change already. So we can see that the Chrome has changed. The background buttons have taken the color that we said we wanted. If we take a look here, we can see that the application name also changed, but the rest is just basically remains the same. So as you can see, we can do a search, and we see that things just keep on behaving in the same way. And here, if we click again the home button, what it's going to do is that it's going to clean up the execution, and it's just bringing us back to the home. So now let's go and make one more change, and that change will be to add a new jump list task. So here again, I'm gonna go to my snippets meta. I'm just gonna take this other one that I have here, and I'm gonna add it here. It's just as simple as adding another meta tag in here. What I'm gonna say is that we're adding a new task to the jump list area. We're gonna do is start a new search. So here I pass what the URL is gonna be, the icon, and in this case we're gonna use a little glass, or like a look glass that we have here. So let me show you what it is. It's just a simple icon, and here we have the magnification glass that we're gonna be using as the icon, and let's see how it looks. So let's try it again, and let's bring the application. Let's just refresh the page, and if we go to the application menu, we see that the task is there, and very simple, and then it adds personalization to the web application in a few simple steps. So if we click there, just open it up a new tab, and there we can just start a new search right from there and have separation. So here I'm just gonna search for my handle, and in this one I'm gonna search for another one. In this case I'm gonna use my girlfriend's handle, and we see how they behave differently between the two. How they maintain separation. Now we want to do some more personalization before we finish, and that is, so now that we have the application in site mode, we would like to remove that handle or the message that says that you should pin the site, because we are already pinned. So what we're going to do is we just simply add some JavaScript. So let's go back to Web Matrix, and again let's just bring the JavaScript code over here, and what we're going to do is that within the init app, and the init app method is something that we have there on the body. So here we have on unload, it's going to run that method, and what we're going to do is that we're going to bring the code here, and we're going to, which is as simple as calling a method that we already have there that is going to remove the install information. So here we just add that, and if we go down to the method itself, and then this is something again that you guys can reuse in your code. What we're looking is that we're asking if this is the start URL, then we ask if this is the page is in site mode, and this is another part of the API that Internet Explorer 9 makes available to us. And here we just if it is in site mode, we just remove or in this case hit the label in here, as simple as that. So we can even try it out. Let's just copy the URL over here and open it up a new instance of Internet Explorer. Here we have it, and we're just gonna, by adding this back to the taskbar, we'll see how it gets removed. So simple as that, and you can very easily add a few customizations like the Chrome, the tasks, and even removing that legend with a couple of script lines. So let's continue. So as you saw, it's very simple to add this kind of features to your site. It doesn't have that much complexity, but it works, and it adds this feeling of personalization to it that it just lights up the way your application and your website works. Up until this point, we've been covering very basic customization, very basic things that you can do within an hour in your site. But let's take a look at what else can we do. And here we're going to be talking about some dynamic functionality, and then we're going to bring your applications to life, and then let's see how that happens. So we have some dynamic jump list categories, just as applications like Word and Internet Explorer itself uses categories to present information, whether it is your recent task and your recent search, or your recent information. You can also take advantage of that to customize the experience for the user itself, whether to be for the session itself or throughout sessions, and then you can do that with your application. So with dynamic jump list categories, you will be able to use it to personalize the user experience based on the application, based on the current session. The user pattern is very simple. You create the category, you set the icon name and the elements URL, and then you just display that category. Simple, 3 steps. You do it from JavaScript, very simple, using these new APIs that are available, and boom, it happens. So on top of that, we also have some overlay icons, and we saw how Messenger makes use of it. You can also make use of that in your applications. You can use it to whether show some notifications or notify the user of certain tasks or certain things that happen in your app, or you can do it to show status, just like the way Messenger works. The user pattern, again, very simple. Just set an overlay icon and then just hide it after the site gets some action. The way it works, we have here an example of Facebook, is that here Facebook has some notifications within the page for this user, and you see how that notification gets translated into an overlay icon in top of the application task button. So here you can see how simple it is, just a line of code, but how much a difference it makes in the user experience. So right now the website is talking to the user through the different capabilities of the OS, and it makes it more dynamic and makes it feel live, makes it feel more as a native application. So let's see a demo how you can make use of this with the application that we've been building, and how simple it is to add some of this functionality to our applications. So now that we have added some basic functionality to our application, what we're going to do is take the application one step further. And what we're going to do is that we're going to add some new functionality to the app and start building on top of it. So what we're going to do is come to Web Matrix, and the first thing we're going to do is add some dynamicy to it. So what we're going to do is add some, or save the common searchers or the recent search, so that we can easily get access to it right from the jump list. So what we're going to do is just take this back over here, and this, what it does is that if we're getting to the app through a query string, then we don't do nothing. But if we come directly to it, then what we're going to do is that we're going to create a custom jump list. And for that, we're going to very easily just check if we are in site mode, and if we are, then we're going to create a new jump list or a new category with the name of searchers. And in that category, what we're going to do is that we're going to add the searchers as they happen. So for that, we come over here, and when we do a search, what we're going to do is that we're going to add that to the code. So let's go back to our snippet file, and let's copy just the little code that adds that search to our page. So here, very easily, just add that piece of code, and what it does is that it just adds a new jump list entry for the query and with the item URL that we just built. So let's give it a try and see how it behaves now. So here we saw that there is nothing, but if we do a search, and we're gonna search for the best basketball player of all times, Michael Jordan, and as it starts searching, we can go back to it and see that a new task has been added under a dynamic category called searchers. So as the results starts coming back, we can start a new search, and in here we're gonna look for Larry Bird, another of the great ones of the NBA, and in between we see that the two items have been added and the elements start working. So here we just close the Michael Jordan one, and we can start it right back right from the context. So, and as we see, it fills up the content already there, and it starts the search automatically. So now that we have that, so that's pretty simple, just a couple of lines in the code. And let's see if we can add some new functionality to it. So let's close here and go back to Web Matrix, and now what we're going to do is that as the elements start adding, we can then add some new notifications, some overlay icons into the taskbar. So here we have, just as we did in adding the list entry, we can do the same with an overlay icon. So here we have the way we can put the icon. So here what we're doing is putting the icon URI in tooltip, so that we can have different icons or different overlay icons as we do it. And one of the things that we have to do before doing that is to clear the overlay. So that's also part of the APIs that we have available. So if we search over here, and what we're going to do is that we're going to bring some of the snippets that we have with the information of the way to do that. So before we go into doing this, what we're going to do is that we are going to clean the status, and that's the first thing that we're going to do. And second, what we're going to do is that we are going to set an icon for the time or during the time that we are searching. So we're going to bring that same magnification glass that we had, and we're just going to put it as an overlay to the taskbar icon, and so that in that way we can show when the application is working. And then again, let's add some of backup information here. We're gonna, just in case that we get an error, so that we can also notify that to the user. So we're just gonna add that, so when we get the tweet, if there is an error, so we can show. And if not, then the thing that we're gonna do is show or set the status. And here what we're going to do is set the status based on the number of elements that we get back from the search. So we added here in a couple. And now let's just see what that method does. So here it's very simple. So based on the case that we pass, it's gonna clear the overlay, or is it gonna add an error in case that it's the case, or we're gonna have to add a number. And so here we have the error, or in the one before we will put the number of elements based on what we get back from the feed. So let's see how it works. So let's go back to Jordan and let's see how that starts behaving. So here is performing the search, and in one moment we're gonna see the icon changing. So here we see the little magnification glass in the app, and as the results start showing up, then we're starting to see that as an overlay. We can even minimize the app, and we see that it's going to continue communicating the changes of the status in the application as it happens in the background of the app. So as you see, pretty simple. We keep getting results and the application keeps running, but we're communicating more information back to the user just like a native application will do. So this is it, and we're gonna continue now with more. So as you saw, it's very simple to add this kind of functionality to your site. There is not that much of complexity behind it, just a few calls to the API and that's it. Now, just as that, there are other functionality that we can do and to mimic things like what Windows Media Player do. And here is some example for that. So here we have some thumbnail toolbar buttons that you can put in order to interact with the content, either media that is playing in your web page. So here is an example of how you can do that. So the user pattern is very simple. Just add the buttons and some event handlers, show the button, update the button, whether it is it changes the state or not. And then you can add some button style. So here is an example. You just make a call to the API to create that thumb bar button, and you just place the icon and the name of the button, and then you can put a name in there so that it shows a tooltip for accessibility purposes. So again, this will enable experiences like this. So here we have an example of a website that makes use of categories and the jump list, but they also make use of the thumb toolbar buttons. And here we see an example of how you can, right from the thumbnail of the application, you can either pause, forward, love, or hate a song. And here it's very simple. You can be working on other things, and then very easily, just like you do on Windows Media Player, you can interact with the content without having to activate the whole window. So very easily adding new features to your website, to your application, to your experience that bring it closer to the way an application works. Also, you can interact with the user in a way that you can flash the taskbar button. And here you can either notify that something has happened, either at on task finish, and then you can notify the user back about it. So here this can be used to signal either that the site requires attention, as I said, or something happened. And the user pattern is very simple. Just activate the need state, and the user clears that need state when the interacting with the site is back. So here is very simple, just one line of code, and then you can just start flashing the browser itself. So it's just a call for the MSI mode activate. So let's see a demo how you can take advantage of this. Very simple. These are some things that you will be able to add to your site with not that much of complexity. And I keep repeating this because it's that simple. Microsoft has done a terrific job at providing these APIs to you in order to make it work. So the first thing we're going to do is to bring back Internet Explorer 9, and here what we have is a Channel 9 sample application, part of the test drive of Internet Explorer. So you can go to ie.microsoft.com/test drive and you can give it a try yourself. So the first thing we're going to do is that we're going to pin this site to the taskbar. So we're just going to bring the tab down here to the taskbar, so that we can see how that it's enabled. So let's play the content here in the page, and we will see how the controls are enabled by default. So you see here we can play and stop the podcast. We can even forward to the next show.
Alright, we are in IE.
And all of this without having to activate the full page. And we'll see how this is done. So what we're going to do is that we are going to bring the developer tools up and see how easy it is. So let's move it over here, and then we bring the developer tools. Let's move it to the right, and we're gonna see how simple it is for us to add this. So the first thing that we're gonna do is let's look for the code that initializes the page. So we go down here into the init buttons, and this is where we're gonna initialize the thumbnail buttons. And as you see, it's very simple. We just add an event listener to the thumbnail link. We create the buttons over here, just plain simple. We just add the icon and the tooltip for those, and then what we do is that we add the button styles and we just show the thumb bar. And as you see, it's plain simple. It's just a few lines of JavaScript and we get all this functionality. Let's see an example of another website that already takes advantage of this functionality. And here we have Django. Django is a music player on the net, and we are going to search here for Moby, which is one of my favorite artists. And what we're going to do is that we're going to start playing music. So here the music is starting to play, and what we're going to do is that we'll pin the site, and by pinning the site we'll see how it enables the controls of the music. So here the music is starting to play, and we go down here, and we can even see that they make use of the overlay icons here on the page. So here we can pause or forward the song, and we can interact with the content in a very dynamic, in a very native way that we were not able to do before. So as you see, plain simple, we can forward and pause the music. We can interact with it without having to activate the page, and a very simple, very rich way to integrate with the OS. So let's continue to see what's next for us to take advantage of. Alright, simple as slicing bread, like they said. And now, before we finish, I want to show you one more thing. Doing it this way is very simple. But let's say that your website uses jQuery, and that jQuery is a very powerful framework that nowadays a lot of applications, a lot of websites make use of it. So the Internet Explorer team went one step further, and even though it's so simple and that's simple to do it right now, they created a plugin for jQuery from where you can create dynamic jump list tasks, you can set overlay icons, you can set up teasers for your website, and this is all available through NuGet. So if you have NuGet set up with your Visual Studio, then you just go to the NuGet console and you just type install package jQuery IE95, and then you will be able to bring all of that functionality to your project. Very simple. So now, before we finish, let's talk about some best practices. And this is some small comment on security, because this thing somehow opens up a new model. And then when you start interacting with the OS, there are certain things that you have to be sure of. First of all is that the start URL has to be bound to the domain of the web page. This way, there are no website that will be able to take advantage of this in order to insert some malicious code or some malicious URLs or bring the users to some malicious stuff that is not expected. So it has to be bound to the domain of the web page or the initial web page from the user started the task. Although the jump list task can be any destinations in the web, so that's valid. But for the start URL, again, only to the domain of the page. Also, the JavaScript APIs are bound to the domain of the page, so these two decrease any cross-site malicious code exploits. So be sure to keep that in mind. Also, in terms of the start URLs, it will have to point to the destination page with meta tags. There is no way to do that through JavaScript, and the containing page doesn't require any additional meta tags. So this is something important to keep in mind there. So this way you can reduce the page download. And with the meta tags, just define it at the start of the page, of the start page destination. That way it's easier for the browser to understand that there is some information there to make available as it starts parsing it. In terms of the thumbnail toolbar buttons, create all the buttons on the start of the URL page so that they remain there, and then you can create and show buttons of every page load. And remember to hide the buttons on every page download. Why this is important? It's important because if you don't do it and then you navigate to another page, the buttons are going to remain there. So make sure that whenever the user navigates away from the page where that functionality is exposed, so that you remove those things from the user experience, so to make it more consistent. And the favicons, you can define multiple resolutions on the same ICO file so that the OS will be smart enough to know which one to use when. You can also compress the ICO files to reduce download time, and you saw that we've been doing that with the icon that we've been using throughout the Twitter application. There are some limitations for the jump list task, maximum of 5 tasks. And in terms of jump list categories, there is a maximum of 20 items per category, and there are 10 items by default. The thumbnail toolbars should be of a maximum of 7 tool buttons. That's as much that it can cover on the thumbnail part of the window, so just be sure to keep that in mind. In terms of icons, the favicons are used in the task button are 32 by 32 pixels, and the pin side browser UI is 24 by 24. There are other icons that are used within the user experience. So you have some jump list tasks which are 16 by 16. The categories are the same with the thumbnail preview buttons and the overlay icons, all of them by 16 by 16. Icon sizes that should added, and this is our recommended 16 by 16, 32 by 32, and 48 by 48, so that it allows for any kind of density displays. And the optimal will be 16, 24, 32, and 64. So just make sure that you take that into account when creating your icons. Also, you should try to use feature detection in order to verify that the browser supports some pin site or not. So try to check if the website was launched through a pin site so that you can remove certain things. We did that in our application so that you can either customize the experience even more than that. And important, promote the experience. Make sure that you let your users know that this kind of functionality is available to them, so that you can be able to know that the browser is Internet Explorer 9 or further, and then you can take advantage of those things and then let the user know that. Let's see how some real scenarios are happening right now with big brands using it in a specific way. So let's take a look. So right now I happen to be in a business travel, and I'm in South Korea right now. And last week when I was preparing to this, I came along with a very nice surprise. So as I was preparing, I went to the Delta site, which is the airline I'm flying right now. And other than having a terrific user experience, I realized that they recognized that I was in Internet Explorer 9, and they invited me to pin the site. So as you can see here, they invite people who are running Internet Explorer 9, and it might be frequent flyers, to just do it. Just pop it in. So what we're going to do is just pin it to the taskbar, and we're going to see all this functionality that they take advantage out of the browser. So here, as you see, the browser Chrome has been branded with the Delta, and they even take advantage of the task functionality. So here we have some of the most frequent tasks that travelers are using, especially when they're on the road or before they're taking a trip. So for frequent flyers like me, this is very it comes very handy in terms of having it there just when we need it, especially when we're in the middle of the travel, and having access to the information right from the tip of a click, and without having to navigate too much, without having to do searches, we can get to the information. So I'm really impressed by this experience that Delta has put. This really is one of a kind airline website. It's very useful, very nice, and very neat. And so just like they make use of it, I really encourage you guys to invite your users to do it, invite your users to take advantage of these new features that you've put together. So this is it. I hope you like it. Let's just recap a little bit of what we've seen in this video and in this webcast. IE9s allow for websites to promote the brands outside the browser, and that's key, and that's important for you to take advantage of. IE9 pin sites enable for seamless integration of the web into Windows 7, meaning that now you can bring your web applications and your websites to behave more as native applications within Windows 7, and that's key for users that live and cannot do much without your sites. And also, IE9 Findsite control the user interaction navigations, and you saw that through the use of the thumbnail button bar and how you can pretty much integrate all of your experience with the OS and having users interact with it without having to interact directly with the full site. And also important, IE9 puts your site to the center of the experience. That's key. Internet Explorer 9 is giving you all of this functionality for free. You can even make a web application as an app and then just make it easily to deploy across sites. With this, we're getting a step even closer to something bigger. We're giving you tools, we're giving you ways to bring your site to new lights. We're bringing it to new ways to enlighten users in the way that things behave. So with this presentation, we're showing you how to blend your site, and keep tuned. Next presentation, we're going to be talking how you can take things mobile. And this is very important because all of the features that you've seen in all these 3 presentations, you're going to be able to take advantage in some way with Internet Explorer 9 for Windows Phone 7 and the Mango version. So keep tuned. There are so many things that you can do with little complexity, with little effort, and I hope you make use of that in a very seamless way. So go ahead, download Internet Explorer 9 if you haven't done it. Go and give it a try. There are some IE test drive, and you can test some new features and new capabilities that are being presented there. Keep on learning. There are so many things that you can do. There is this website, buildmypinsite.com, and here you can learn more about the things that we have seen today. And stay tuned. The Internet Explorer team is hard at work with Internet Explorer 10. That is going to bring even more functionality. It's going to be integrated with Windows 8, the next version of the Windows operating system. There's so many new things that are going to be lining up in terms of HTML5 capabilities, CSS3, and even further things. So thanks a lot, everyone. My name is Gilbert, and I hope you like what you saw today. I'm sure you can wait to bring all of this functionality to your site if you haven't done so already. So go ahead and make things happen. Bye.